we have more updates on what the 15 new power-ups are. So I've talked about some, but I'll talk about them again here. I'm just gonna go through all of them. And some of them I've seen, so I already have impressions of them, and some of them I've not seen, so they're hard to gauge. First one is Stalking Dart, which is an RE exclusive. I'm fairly sure, because some of these are tagged as like I'm pretty sure these two are not exclusive, even though they have like stuff there. But this is an RE exclusive, like it says RE. Every 10 mana, RE gains a Foxfire uh, towards her target, dealing 5% of her spell's damage as magic damage. So in practice, this is like by the time that she casts, she gets like 6 of these. So it's like a 30% spell damage, or so she gets 5 of these. So it's 25% of her spell damage. I'm gonna be honest, this one is not that good. This doesn't really interact well with like other stuff. A lot of Ari's use is in overkill damage, which also isn't included here. And as far as like 25% damage increases, which this like kind of is, it's not that good. Now, Ari doesn't really have that many good power-ups anyway for her. The best one I'd probably say is like Killer Instinct. The other ones are just generically good. These three are always good. And then Mage is like okay. I think Ari's one of the worst users of Mage, but it's like still like it's a very strong power-up. All of those are better than this. I think this one would need to be buffed. Wind Wall. This is a Yasuo exclusive power-up. This one is quite good. Now, in contrast to Ari, Yasuo does have good power-ups already, so this is competing with other good power-ups. And like this one's pretty competitive. I would say this is about close to power of his best power-ups. The thing is, Yasuo gets access to Hemorrhage and Crimson Veil somewhere. Both incredibly powerful power-ups. He also gets Not Done Yet, which it's not that good now, but it's getting buffed when on the new patch. This one's also really good. And I would say that Windwall is competitive to all of them, but it's not like clearly better. But it's good for Yasuo to have like good options, like more like takeable options. I don't think it's clearly better than, it might be slightly worse than Hemorrhage, but it has a unique benefit. So what it does is it gives you 60% crit chance, which is just like a lot of crit, and it makes you take 15% reduced damage from non-adjacent enemies. So this will change your build a little bit in that you don't really want the other crit items. You probably want like Infinity Edge. You'll overcap on crit a little bit, but that's okay. And then you're probably like you want BT, and like this is probably like mandatory build. And then your third item is flexible. But overall, it's quite good because it's a lot of stats that he can use. In the comp that he's played in, he also benefits from the damage reduction a lot because he also gets the armor from Bastion, so it multiplies together. It makes him extra tanky. And yeah, there also aren't a lot of melee threats in the set, so for the most part, this is just straight up 15% damage reduction. But like I said, the problem is that Hemorrhage is really overpowered. They removed it on like all the good users, so I think Yasuo's the only good user left of it. Because Hemorrhage is good on units that aren't likely to like overkill their targets, and you don't want like high burst damage. And then and in general, Crimson Veil is just really strong as a healing option. It's good at healing. The shield is really valuable, especially with Bastion, and it means you can build just more damage. So yeah, but this one is for sure takeable. It is, I think, competitive with those. So yeah, this is a good one. Braum. This one I have not seen. It's has a decent likelihood to appear on him, I think. I have tried putting a power up fruit on Braum, and just the one time I did, it didn't pop up. But what this does, he throws some poros at random enemies, and they do 200% of his base damage as physical damage. So this is like okay. I think this could be okay. The damage seems like a decent number, and this helps him with one of his problems is that besides the unit that he's ulting, he has like trouble dealing damage to other units. Like he's kind of very like even though he has a spin attack, it's not very reliable damage, and he's very slow to like defeat other units that aren't like his primary target. So he normally needs a lot of help, and this is pretty good at that. I would say I've not seen this. I just think on paper this sounds like decent, and the numbers seem decent. Because if you compare this to like Desperado, it's kind of similar, where you fire 5 projectiles that do 100% base attack damage after 8th attack. So it's basically like 2 Desperado procs every time that he ults, which is pretty good. Especially because I don't even think Desperado like that's bad. I think it's a little bit underrated. But this is just like straight up 2 of those, and it's gonna proc at like similar frequency. So yeah, this one's probably pretty good, but I'd have to see. So next is Attempt the 37. Echo Spell prioritizes the closest enemy, but he heals 20% of max health on cast and deals 6% more damage each time his spell hits the target. This is like fixing a problem that Echo doesn't really have. Echo's spell usually will be able to kill his primary targets. He doesn't hit like he hits like 3 or so enemies, and usually he does enough damage. Like if they're squishy, he'll usually kill them. Like this will help him get through tanks. But Echo's job isn't really to kill tanks usually. It's to clear like the other stuff. And if like the tank is what's left, he doesn't even have a problem with that. But this is more focus fired, which is like not bad, but I don't think it's that necessary. I feel like Echo has access to, I mean, he doesn't have access to a lot of stuff, but some of the generic things that he has are pretty good. Like he has access to Trickster, and I feel like that's better. And even something like Thrill Seeker is also maybe better, or like Unflinching Finalist. Like the problem is that this doesn't do that much. But again, I have not actually seen this one. I have not seen an Echo in the games that I've played. So this could be good, but I don't think so. I'm a little underwhelmed just like by the text. Next is Super Mega, which is a Jinx unique power-up. This one I have played, so I have an impression on it. Jinx gains 20% AD. Every third cast is twice as big and splits 50% more damage among enemies' hits. This one is not very good. The 20 AD is nice. The problem is that the other parts you are only going to access after her third cast, which is like, let's say, 15 seconds into a fight, maybe. It seems like it's being described to be like a set 13 Jinx ult, but it doesn't hit everything, and also it doesn't even kill a lot of the time. If you split enough damage, it doesn't do enough to actually kill backline. Like there isn't really any threat unless you're only hitting like 3 or so units. Like if you're catching a frontliner with this at all, you're kind of just wasting it. So I'm pretty sure this is just worse than some of the other things Jinx can get. I think Mage is strictly a better version of this, and even then, like Mage is like not that great because it reduces your auto damage. But I mean, Gather Force, which is currently like the best thing you can take on Jinx by far, and even if it's nerfed, it's still like by far better. And then other options are generically like okay, are good on Jinx. Like Sky Piercer is still good, Stormender is still good, Double Strike is okay. So overall, I was not impressed with this. I think it needs some kind of buff. I mean, they could just buff this, like the damage split. It doesn't do enough damage to like really threaten anything, so it's a bit underwhelming. Denting Blows, by spell now shields instead of healing, but the value is increased by 25%. When converted, she strikes quickly 4 times, each hit reducing the target's resist by 5. So the way that this works is that she still casts her normal spell, so you still get like the AoE and the Sunder, but afterwards you attack 4 times really quickly. It's like 4 auto attacks. So you get the Sunder, the percent armor reduction, and then you get the extra like the flat armor reduction in each of those 4 autos. I don't remember because I didn't really pay attention. I didn't have it for that long when I played it. As to whether these autos are like part of your spell or not, like if you get mana from those 4 autos or not, so this makes you cast faster. I think if that works that way, this would be very, very broken. So it probably doesn't work that way. So this technically increases your mana cost, which is not like that's bad. Overall, I think this power up, like given everything, it felt okay. there might be room. I have to play this more just to like check because I didn't pay attention when I played it. But this one's not bad. So shielding instead of healing is technically a debuff, but when you increase the value, it's like an okay trade-off. So what you're doing here is you're increasing her like because this isn't giving her enough damage to like actually carry, but this makes her a really good support unit. So if you make her a tank for like another two, like a Jin or like Kaisa, this helps her get through frontline. So like this will help like Kaisa get kills. This will help Jin like get through like any unit that he's stuck on. So overall, it's pretty decent. Like it's not like overpowered. I think by any means, but it's like it felt okay. Double down. This is the replacement to Essence Share. So Essence Share got removed after I created some illegal tech with Kog'Maw, and they replaced it with a less supportive version of this, which is the unit now gains damage amp, and they share less mana. Now, the thing is here is that you can focus the mana onto a specific unit, which is your other powered up unit. So there might be some potential there, but 20% of the mana isn't like that much. I'm pretty sure the units that would get this one are the units that would have gotten Essence Share, maybe. Like, if not, then this is just straight up terrible. I think in most cases, this is pretty underwhelming, but there might be some kind of mana funnel strategies that might be worth looking into. However, I wasn't like too impressed by this. I forgot which unit it was that I got it on, but I didn't keep it on them for that long. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Ari. I think you can get it on Ari. Which I think Ari was one of the Essence Share units. So I'd imagine the pool is like gonna be mostly the same. So yeah. Quick tag. I have not seen this. Okay, I've seen I've scrolled past this while looking for certain power-ups, but I've not clicked this one. And I've not seen anyone else click this one. On paper it seems pretty good, but I don't know which units get it. So on death, spawn a unit of the same role with the same number of items. This unit is 1 cost lower and has 15% reduced health. So with what this says, if you can get this on tanks, it's just a straight like a by far like better version of where is it? It's round 2. It's just a strictly better version of round 2. But I don't think it shows up on tanks. I didn't pay attention. I think when I got it, I was playing a melee. I think I was playing like Yasuo or something. And that's very different. Now, it's of the same role with the same number of items, but 1 cost lower. So you can kind of predict what unit it would be. Now, I don't know what units get this, but like, you can look at the... Okay. Like, for instance, if you look at like Magic Reapers or Magic Fighters, there aren't really that many of those. Like, there's Viego, there's Katarina, Gwen, like, so like, they share a class. They don't like some of them might share traits, but like not really. But you can kind of predict what unit you get. So there might be a case where the unit you get is like really good and is like a good thing to pop up. Like I think if you were able to get this on like if you're playing Edgelord and you were able to get this on Yone and then it drops a Volibear, that's probably pretty good. Tentacle Smash. This one is a frontline tank power-up. It is just like card control. So after 4 seconds, you stun enemies within 3 hexes. And then every 9 seconds afterwards, you do the same. So this one is also, it's pretty cool, but it's not very good because the CC is for the most part not going to be on important units. There aren't a lot of melee carries, and even if there are, they usually have some kind of like CC immunity. Like they'll either have like QSS or like they'll be like Volibear or something. Like it's not very likely that you're gonna actually hit an important unit that's doing damage with it. And the other thing is that it doesn't help your team. Like it stalls the enemy front line, but that doesn't do that much in terms of like it's not comparable to power up that actually improves your damage or your tankiness. I just don't think it works well in comparison to the value that other power-ups provide. Against melee carries, this is okay as long as they don't have CC immunity. And I guess if you get this early on, if it we're in a meta where like let's say like Viego, Yas, like this stuff is being played, it's good to condition them to get CC immunity, and then you can pivot to something else later. Like that's a thing you can maybe do. But all in all, this is not that strong. Noxus Trap. This one is quite good. Damage dealt burns, wounds, shreds, and sunders enemies for 4 seconds. So basically, this is like anti-heal and free sunder shred. It's not the good shred, so it's not 30% like you get from like Last Whisper, Void Staff. It's 20%, so it's a weaker version, but you get both that and burn for free. So this one can be really good depending on what units you can get it on. From the previous game I played, uh, you can get it on Senna. I know that much. Senna's like a pretty okay user of it. Not so much in like the Mentor mech version, but like in just vertical mech. You can use it pretty okay. That is, if you're not like fishing for mech pilot. On something like a Malzahar or like a Gwen, this could be really good if you don't have either. Though by the time you're playing around Gwen, you probably already have both, and you shouldn't plan your game around this. It seems strong, but I think in practice, it's not that crazy because you can get around this by just getting anti-heal and like shred items. And like it's gonna be so ingrained in your game plan anyway to do that that you're not gonna see this that much. If this were like the good shred side, if this were 30%, then it's probably worthwhile to take this because then you can make a conscious decision. Oh, this unit can hit Noxus Trap, so I don't have to build like a Sunfire red buff. But because you could find an upgrade anyway, I don't think that this is actually gonna be played around very much. And it's not like with something like Inner Fire or like Corrosive or like Skypiercer, where you're on your carry and you're fishing for something and you realize, oh, I don't have shred, I don't have sunder, I don't have anti-heal. This is pretty good at the moment. On like, I mean, depending on what units you get this on, right? If this is on a main carry and you don't have those, it's okay, but you're not gonna want to keep this on your main carry. Those are good like temporarily. And like, let's say you're playing around Malzahar, like in my example, unless you're Malzahar primary carry, like in the most comps with Malzahar, you're not powering him up. Unless you're specifically playing around Malzahar carry, but in which case, would you even want to take this? Actually, maybe. I mean, the thing is, these other options are pretty good. So, like, this is kind of an improvement to like Skypiercer and like I mean, okay, maybe with Malzahar care, like it depends on what the options are. Because I might still rather prefer Stormbender, but in that comp, there's also no good holders of it besides Malzahar himself. So if you're actually playing around Malzahar main carry, you can put like actual damage items on him, Giant Slayer, like Death Cap and stuff. So actually, this is probably pretty good in that specific case. But I don't know what units get it. In a very similar boat, we have Rocket Grab. This is I think this is a tank power up, but I've like went out of my way to look for this and I've not been able to find this. So I have not seen any units have this. What it does, at combat start, gain a 20% health shield for 4 seconds. When your target dies, pull in the next target into melee range and regain the shield. So, I mean, this sounds like a tank power up. It's not that crazy in terms like so if you get multiple shields over the course of combat, it can be very, very powerful. And just for that alone, it's good. The pull, I think, is a little overrated. It's not likely for you to pull backliners, and I'm pretty sure all the buggy stuff with pulling was probably fixed back when we had deep roots in set 13. I would hope so by now that they fixed all the bugginess, because I worked really hard to break that. So assuming that that's balanced and like kind of normal, I guess as at the start of combat. Actually, no. It's I don't even know if you get the pull at the start of combat. So if you don't even get the pull at the start of combat, you should just treat this as a shield. That's like you get multiple times, which is quite good. Honest, like that, like you can get a lot of shield. That's kind of a lot of tankiness. Your tank needs to be able to clear units, so you need a good single target DPS behind your tank, or your tank needs to do like some kind of damage. I think a really good theoretical user of this would be Dr. Mundo. but I tried to see if that was a thing, and I could not find it onto Mundo. So maybe he just doesn't get it, or it's really rare. But with a weight of 10, it's probably just like he just isn't someone that can get it. I haven't seen it appear at all. So I don't know. Fury Break. Gain 25% attack speed. When your other powered up unit dies, gain a burst of attack speed of 300% that decays over 4 seconds. If you die first, give them the burst instead. So this has like some kind of utility value where you can technically funnel a different thing and that maybe that they can use the 300% attack speed better. Like, okay, so like the 25% attack speed is okay. The burst of attack speed is hard to gauge how useful it is because I mean there's a lot of attack speed, but it's for 4 seconds and then what? Like I'd have to see what that looks like. Like I don't know of any abuse cases besides maybe like because Ash doesn't scale with attack speed anymore. So the only attack speed scaling is at least in Duelist. I don't know if he uses that well. A lot of units get locked in animations and stuff where they're not using the attack speed. So like let's say you're playing something like Samira and her thing dies and she gets it while she's like spinning. Like you're probably wasting the attack speed. I mean not that you'd want to take this on her anyway, but just I'm just saying. Like I'd imagine this to be like, okay on like Ash maybe. Maybe Jinx, maybe Volibear, maybe Lee Sin, Twisted Fate, Yone, like, but I'm not actually sure. Like, I don't know if this. I don't think this is better than other options. But yeah, like, this is one I'd have to test myself. But and I've seen units get it, but I don't remember which ones get it. I think you can get it on Jinx. But as for whether that, I don't think it's better. Like, it's surely not better than Gather Force. Like, I'll say that much. Okay, next is this is a pretty exciting one. We have 2x Contender, which is another one that's like a comp, like or like a trait. Like you build around this power up. So select units from the Hit Riot game 2x KO. They are now their own trait pretty much with this power up. Vi, Ari, Darius, Yasuo, Jinx, Braum, and Echo gain 4% damage amp and 2% durability for each unique copy fielded. This unit gains 75% more. In practice, this works kind of like prismatic bronze for life. And I worked out what that comp is. So it looks something like this. Like I'm not 100% on whether this is the best version, but I'm like 90% sure. So the units that you have to have on your board are these 6 and then Echo if you can get him, but like that's augment dependent. But yeah, you have to play around these 6. And I'm like, I was considering whether you'd like drop the Vi or something, but like overall, you add in these units and it works out pretty okay. You get some Sniper, Luchador, Bastion, Edgelord, and then Heavyweight. And like you're not really playing around like Sork or Juggernaut, so it doesn't really matter. But you still got Star Guardian here. And you still have like the Jinx Poppy Core, which works out pretty well. Yasuo. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Yasuo is the best unit to look for this. I don't know what the percentages are. But out of the units that would want this bonus, Yasuo is the one that uses it the best because he can get his traits active. He can get Edgelord activated. But I mean, you're probably just buying and selling copies of Darius to get this, and then yeah, and you're just putting item like they're just going to be your secondary carry. But I think between the two, not 3-starred, Yasuo is probably better. But yeah, this like the strength of this is that like the team wide buffs is it's basically like a prismatic bronze for life. It is really strong. Like you're giving your like if you're just playing around like your Jinx for instance, like that's just a second power up for her pretty much. Like she ends up with like 24% damage amp with a power up that isn't even on her. And then, on top of that, you could just give her an actual power up as well. Painter golems. Okay, so the next 2 power ups, they show these icons, but you can get them on other units besides these 2. Like I've seen this appear on Jace. I've seen this appear on Ashe. So I mean, I know you can get them on other types of units. So 2x KO, named after the game of the same name. After 2 takedowns, stun enemies within 2 X's for 2 seconds, and gain 35% damage amp for the rest of the combat. So if I were to make a parallel to anything, I would make it to On the Edge, which is a different 35% damage amp one, where you get it at the start of combats, but you start combats with reduced health. So in comparison, you're safer, but you get the damage amp less in the combat, but you also get a stun. So this might be better. It's kind of hard to make use of the stun without positioning your unit towards the center of the board. If you could get this on a collie, this could probably be pretty good, possibly. But it feels okay. It's kind of comparable to on the edge power wise. If you have good single target damage, that helps a bit. If you can get some quick kills on something like with a good single target damage like a Darius, it's probably pretty good if he can get it. But the only things I know for sure is that Neferi can get it, and Jace can get it. Those are the two units I've seen get it. It seems okay. This one like it seems clickable, so that's pretty good. It doesn't get outclassed by anything in its tier, and like if you hit it, you'd be pretty happy to like just play it. So that seems fine. Last we have corner carry. Gain 30% attack speed at 75 and 25% health, dash to the safest position, and gain infinite range. So I don't know if the infinite range is like temporarily or like only during the dash, like Firelight works. If it's permanent, it seems okay. The only thing that this like brings to my mind is that with the changes to fish bones, where you no longer get the bonus range, this seems like a way to exploit that, where this will give you the bonus range. So you go back to when fish bones is broken, but you have to take this power up. If this is only during the dash, like firelights, this is a little underwhelming, I think. I don't think it's strong enough. I don't think there's that many cases where you're dashing away from something. Well, another thing is it's based on damage taken. It's not even based on like enemies being nearby. So like there aren't that many melee threats that are gonna get into range anyway. Like if a collie gets onto you, it doesn't really matter if you dash, she's just gonna follow you. It's okay against some of the other ones, but like they have like jumps and stuff. Like Cat and Volibear can still jump to you. I guess it can save you from like Yasuo like these. But I don't know how safe you're gonna be from like any of these. So this is one I think is gonna be a bit underwhelming. It could be potentially good depending on how the mechanics of it work. When I've taken it, it did not feel very good. So, but I didn't really pay attention to what it was. I tried it for one round and they didn't dash. So, like they just died because they got 100 to 0'd. But yeah, that is all the new power-ups of the patch. Some are interesting. I mean, this is mostly just to tease 2xKO, which I get and it's fine. Some of them are underwhelming, but I mean, I'm okay with them being underwhelming. Like, I feel like nothing really changes anything, because Yasuo already has good ones. The one that might change things is Rocket Grab, but I've not seen it. Or and 2x Contender. Those are the two most interesting ones. The rest are either, like, bad, or, like, you wouldn't take them anyway. So, yeah. I was a bit underwhelmed by the new power-ups, but that's okay. Because the game is already problematic with the ones that are in the game anyway.